Deja vu all over again. My old friend Salman Rushdie has been banned from speaking, this time in India, because he wrote a book many years ago, the most protesters have not read, never will read, that mentioned Muhammad. Muslim author and activist Tarek Fatah is here. Have you ever been banned?
My book in India was stopped from publication.
In India, of all places, pluralistic and democratic.
And the irony, it was published in Pakistan.
Now, I assume it's because India has a very large Muslim minority, what, 200 million or so?
Well, it's 12% of the population, but it's not just India, Michael. It's the UK, United States, here in Canada, wherever there, even in Israel, wherever there is a Muslim minority from, say, 5 to 10%, the ruling classes of that society cater to the most radical elements, most orthodox, ultra-right conservatives, and assess them to be the voice of the Muslim vote. So now in India, you have the elections coming up, and the Congress has to look into who's going to sell the Muslim vote to them. It's similar in Canada, where the political parties judge which mosque to go to, who's going to deliver the votes. So people like me would not be able to deliver that, so they would then go to the bearded ones or people wrapped up in a whole lot of cloth. In this case, Rushdie is now called a tyranny, and he says it's worse than censorship because it comes accompanied with a threat of violence. And that's a very sad indictment for India. Just yesterday, the Calcutta festival, where Taslima Nasreen was banned, another Bangladesh Muslim liberal or almost agnostic writer. They said, you can't come. She's a Bengali writer, chased away from a country. India refused to give her protection.
Now, Rushdie, Satanic Verses, how many years ago we're talking about now? What, more than 20 years ago?
Yes, yes.
And he's a wonderful author, Midnight's Children, Shame. I knew him in Britain many years ago. He's a very erudite and sophisticated man. The book, there was a fatwa issued by Iranian ayatollahs. In the period in between, things have died down quite a lot. At one point, Rushdie was in hiding. Now, I mean, you see him around. He goes to festivals. He was meant to speak in India, and they said there was a death threat. There was a mob that occupied a certain space, and now they said, I'm sorry, for your own safety and the safety of other people, you can't speak.
Which was a lie.
Yes, now I've heard that. He claims, Rushdie himself has said, the intelligence was false. There was no viable death threat.
It was contrived, and the notion that 2 assassins had been sent by the Muslim underworld in Mumbai to assassinate him was a complete fabrication. And the Indian Intelligence Bureau did this at the behest of the administration there, because elections coming up, and they're worried what happens in New Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, where 20% of the vote is Muslim. And it's a terrible insult to the Muslim community of India, because it's a fairly liberal population, but the Congress or the left in India deal only with the ultra-right. This is a paradox that's everywhere. So instead of dealing with the liberal elements or the center-right, center-left of the Muslim politicians in India, those folks are not even considered. I mean, Salman Rushdie was born in India. He doesn't even need a visa to go to India. It's a country that he admires a lot. And in Pakistan, he's considered to be hated because he's Indian. And it's a very sad statement of how the liberal left deals with Muslim minorities.
Well, he writes about that so well. I mean, his first novel about always being an outsider, a Muslim in India and an Indian in Pakistan and whatever. But this is terribly wrong. You made a point I want to pursue here about how non-Muslim establishment figures deal invariably, if not exclusively, with the right wing of the Islamic community. In India, for example, the terrorists from Pakistan who went in to murder people, the Muslim community locally in Mumbai refused to bury them. We will not have these people in our cemeteries.
They hated them.
And there are many Muslim progressive voices in India.
Well, so, of course they are. But the left wing over there, the Communist Party and the Congress, will not have anything to do with them. It's the same in Canada.
Well, let's get on to it, because it is the same in Canada.
The Toronto Star will not deal with us.
But there are half a dozen people from Muslim Canadian Congress and elsewhere who are quite well known. But beyond that, there are many, many Muslim people in this country who they're not even particularly religious, and they're certainly not fundamentalists.
No, they're architects, they're playwrights, they're the head of Rogers, for crying out loud, the Muslim. The trade union movement has Muslims. But the left and the liberal left sort of recognizes these people outside the fold of Muslimdom. For I am not...
How dare they?
They say you're not ugly enough to be considered an authentic Muslim.
You know,
I'm serious.
No, you ask it because, look, it's ignorance. If people understand the great tradition of Persian moderation, of Bangladeshi secularism...
Right, it's amazing.
It's prevalent. But again and again, the left go for someone dressed in a tent with a huge beard screaming abuse. That is not Islam.
Not even the left. I would say some in the right, the centre-right, and people we know who will only take the word of an imam.
Why? Why is that?
As white guilt is a terrible thing to lose. It's unbelievable. I mean,
never had it myself.
that's because you're married to the wrong person.
You should explain what you mean, but people wonder what you mean by that.
Your wife is of Indian ancestry.
Yeah, that's the only reason I have you on the show.
Yeah, I know. I've got
I wouldn't have been in the building otherwise, Tarek.
But it's a thing that intelligentsia in democracies will have to wake up to. Because you notice that this is the same case in South Africa, in India, in United States, in Australia, in Britain, in Canada. In France and the non-Anglo world, in France and, say, Denmark or Holland, the liberal left is pretty clear. They say, we're not going to deal with anyone who considers women as inferior. We're not going to deal with anyone who's homophobic. I mean, not that everyone agrees on gay marriage, but the hatred of the gay in the Muslim right cannot be embraced by the NDP or the liberals.
Yeah.
And that's what we are seeing in our political process. I'm speaking about Canada, and I can tell you that even here, Salman Rushdie was not embraced by anyone until Bob Rae invited him, and he's the exception to the rule.
As always, a great pleasure. You're looking great and you're feeling a lot better. You're walking in now,
Yes,
out of the
I am.
wheelchair and so on.
Yes, I am.
Great. You're too important to lose. Thank you so much, my friend.
Take care. Thank you.